we are going to share with you our findings and insights about movement in physical education. We have four basic movements. We have four basic movement phases, which are the flexible movement phase, ruddimental movement, fundamental movement, and lastly it was a specialized movement phase. Today as a group we will present about the importance of developing this movement. To give you a brief overview, we will begin with Osnati.
Good morning. My name is Costas Fudio. I'll be talking about Lspt. Okay. Lspt takes place in Sabela Secondary High School, grade 9, and the hour duration of the lesson is 60 minutes. The subject is life orientation, and our target skill is understanding movement principles. Okay. Our lesson theme study of four basic movement phases. Which of the following several general aims addressing the lesson? Our lesson will be mostly focusing on identifying and solving problems, critical thinking, and organizing and managing ourselves responsible as learners. We have lesson objectives. And what specifically should learners be able to do with the content by the end of the lesson? Okay. Learners at the end of the lesson should be able to identify, describe four basic phases: movement, preparation, forces application, critical instant following through. And they must be able to demonstrate these four phases variety of movement. They must be able to analyze movement and break into four past phases. Okay. Apply the understanding. They must be able to also apply the understanding movement phases in improving their own movement efficiency and technique. Passing next to Kondo second call.
Good morning, class. Are you all ready to exercise? Moving on, we're going to talk about the resources relevant to the objective, just as Mr. Studio was saying. So the resources we have to have during this lesson is going to need shared school field, we're going to need forms, we're going to need handouts with descriptive of the four phases. We're also going to need markers, pens, we're going to need videos showing movement phases like the simulation. We're also going to need a whiteboard just like this one. We're going to need a whistle. Moving on to the lesson, we want to talk about the lesson introduction. Okay, in this lesson, I'll start by briefly introducing the concepts of movement phases and explain that all physical movements can be broken down into these phases. We currently have four phases in this situation. So nextly, we are going to engage with a fun warm-up activity that involves a variety of movements. In this case, those movements and activities is going to be like push-ups and then skipping. Skipping we mean like skipping ropes. And then lastly, we are going to clearly indicate the lesson outcome and like what is expected for the learners to do after this lesson. Okay, the most important part of this lesson is the body, which indicates the methods, activities, sources, and educational media that we are going to use. Okay, now we have to divide this into two phases. We have to look on the face of the teacher and the face of the learner. So starting with the teacher must be able to explain and show each of the four phases of movement using simple movements like passing the ball to another teammate. Okay. In this case, the teacher can use the whiteboard to display some videos or show some learners doing this kind of activities. Or the teacher can just take the ball and then just pass the ball to another learner as like a teammate. Okay, next thing, the teacher must divide the learners into small groups. since there are 40 learners, assigning each group a simple movement to analyze. Okay, this is like an assessment that the teacher must focus to. So, for example, like in our situation, I've thought of passing the ball and also using the candle. So after that, the teacher must provide a handout with illustrations of the 4 movement phases. So this handout will clearly indicate what is expected for the learners to do. So nextly, the teacher must facilitate a class discussion where each group present their analysis of their assigned movement. The teacher must also encourage other groups to provide constructive feedback and ask questions. So lastly, what is expected for the teacher is to lead a fun activity that incorporates the 4 phases. Okay. Moving on now, we're going to focus on the learner phase. So as a learner, as a grade 9 learner, you have to observe the demonstrations carefully. Listen to the explanations and ask clarifying questions as needed. You are going to get those explanations from your instructor or teacher. So, nextly, the learner must work collaboratively in their groups to analyze the assigned movement. They must use the handout that is given by the teacher to describe each phase, record, and moving on, learners, I hope you're still with me. Now we're going to focus on the lesson conclusion. So, in the lesson conclusion, we must first check the review. Like, you have to summarize the key concepts of the 4 phases of movement, just as explained. We have to reflect as a learner. You have to ask learners to reflect on own understanding movement phases. Nextly, you have to discuss real-life examples of movement phases that are used in sports, dance, and other activities. And then moving on, you have to, as a teacher, you have to briefly assess learners' understanding through a quick question and answer session or short written reflection. Lastly, the most important part, learners, you have to put down. Nextly, we're going to focus on the assessment for this lesson plan, on how to assess the learners. Moving on, learners, I know I've spoken a lot today, so I'm going to pass the opportunity to our niece here. He's going to explain more further about the assessment of this lesson plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mkondo. Good day, everyone. I will be emphasizing what Ms. Ben has just said, and I will add on what she has said. I will be talking about assessment. A teacher must know how to assess and what knowledge that is needed to be assessed by whom. How to assess the teacher must start written reflections. Ask learners to write a short paragraph explaining how understanding movement phases can improve their performance in a specific activity. Moving forward on what that is needed to be assessed. Understanding of the application of movement phases to perform improvement. A teacher needs to assess the learners.
Hi everyone, this is Mr. Makubulela, and we will close this session by inclusive strategies and on how we will accommodate the learners at risk, the gifted learners and the different cultures and different regions. To accommodate diverse learners, we will implement inclusive strategies. For learners at risk, we provide assistive devices and adaptive equipment. For gifted learners, we will be challenging them with more complex movements rather than matching their activities with their unforsaken children. And advanced training will be used to respect different cultures. We will incorporate cultural festivals and traditional games for learners from diverse regions. We also accommodate prayer times for the ones who have those hours of prayer and dietary restrictions. We also provide modifications for activities that may conflict within the activity. So we create a supportive and inclusive learning environment for all.